Hey again, welcome back to the channel. Today I'd like to give you a quick review of my Co-op DRT 1.1 mountain bike. Now this is a mountain bike that's exclusive from REI. It's their new brand that took the place of their Navarro brand. Now this bike normally retails for $499. However, if you're lucky like me, you can find it on sale for about $425. Now for $425, this thing is pretty impressive. To be honest with you, I probably would have been happy even had I paid full price or if I paid more than their full price. So let's start with the positives of the bike. First of all, the geometry, the low top tube, the head angle, the super wide bars, and just the overall feel of this bike. It's really impressive, and at $400 or $500, I had a hard time finding anything that even came close to being as nice as this bike is. The bars themselves are pretty wide. They're a 760 millimeter wide bar, and this thing comes equipped from the factory with 180 millimeter front, 160 millimeter rear Tektro hydraulic brakes. And although they're not the most expensive brakes on the market, these things perform. I'm always impressed every single time I ride this bike how well the brakes work. Now, the drivetrain itself, it's not the best components. It's a cheap 3 by Shimano setup. It's got the Acera derailleur with the Altus front, and then the Acera trigger shifters. Although they're inexpensive, they work really well together. I never have issues with a dropped chain, missed gears. This thing, it's precise, it clicks right through them. The only issue I have with the drivetrain is when I'm doing really technical climbs or really technical, turny-rooty type stuff. I tend to find it's a little bit difficult to find the right gear to be in between, fiddling with your left hand and fiddling with your right hand, trying to get that right mixture. Now, I think this thing would really benefit from, a 1x10 or a 1x11 drivetrain, but for the price range that you get this thing in, I'm not mad about the drivetrain at all. Now, one of the major shortcomings of this bike is the fork that it comes equipped with. What you'll see is I've actually upgraded to a Suntour Epixon air shock. However, this thing comes with a Suntour XCT on it. And that thing is a tank. It is noisy, it does not dampen well, and I hate it. I hate everything about that fork. Now, it's a cheap fork. It comes on a lot of bikes. You can pick them up for, $50 on eBay, probably less. So I didn't have high expectations for it, but I was really upset. That fork really agitated me. As soon as I switched it out for this one, whole world of difference. It turned this bike into a whole new beast. I absolutely love it. So when you look at this particular bike, you'll notice, yes, I do have a different front rim and hub on this one. Now, I didn't actually do that on purpose. Unfortunately, when I first bought the bike, I came around a turn super hot. I found myself a nice big stump, got ejected from the bike, dislocated my shoulder, tore up my legs, and of course destroyed the rim. Now, I wouldn't expect many wheels to last through that type of hit, so I can't really fault the wheel for that. That being said, the original wheels that come on this bike, I liked them, no concerns with them, no issues with them. I would not have changed them had I not broken it. For the seat, the one that comes on this bike, it's actually a pretty nice seat. Now you'll notice I have changed mine with a Surface Dorado. The only reason is because I needed a new seat on my fat bike, and I figured I'd kill two birds with one stone. This one's a lot more comfortable for long distance riding, which is what I tend to do with this bike, as compared to the one that came with it that, although comfortable, after 8-10 miles, it really starts to wear on you. So I put that on the fat bike that I typically only ride 5-6 miles on the trail. Overall, the seat's nice. I wouldn't have exchanged it had I not needed one anyways. The pedals that come on the bike, they're exactly what you would expect on a $400 bike. They're the cheap plastic ones with the built-in reflectors. They don't really have any bite to them, and they seem like they'd be pretty easy to break. Now, if you're just going to ride this thing on super mellow trails, something really flowy, nothing hard, or even stick to concrete, these pedals are going to be probably just fine. Now, for me, I tend to ride pretty hard, and I want something that really makes me feel like I'm glued to the bike. So I actually ride on BMX flats. These are Animal Stephen Hamilton pedals, and they're the alloys with the serviceable pins, and these things bite. So I feel so much more secure and so much more stuck to the bike while I'm riding with these pedals. Now in the $400 to $800 range, I ran the gamut when it came to looking at bikes. I tried out Specialized, Giant, Trek, and Diamondback, and then this one. And out of all the bikes I rode, this one maybe doesn't have the most impressive kit on it, but overall this thing performed better than anything else that I got on. The brakes alone made this thing stand apart from the majority of the others. Now, for what I paid for the bike, for what I've got into the bike between the fork, the tires, and miscellaneous components, I think that this is an absolute value. This is a huge bang for your buck, especially if you're starting but you want to get into real riding as compared to just kind of tinkering around with bikes. This is an absolute great start. It's something you'll be able to ride for a while, make some upgrades to as you go, and then eventually move up to that next bike.